Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Kristen Poppert. I'm a child and family therapist with over 20 years supporting kids and families. I have a bachelor's and master's in child clinical psychology. I currently have a clinical practice doing therapy, clinical supervision, and do parent coaching. I've worked in a large research hospital, run large group practices where I employ therapists, and currently now enjoy working just for myself.
And I'm Reverend Jane Hyatt, and my first career was actually in teaching. And I did that for 9 years formally in the classroom, and then informally with little classes with kids when my children were young. And I've been involved in teaching kids since I've been involved in Unity. So teaching is really in my blood.
So thank you so much for volunteering to help provide a safe and welcoming environment for our children through the youth program. Through fun and play, we aim to facilitate respectful and caring interactions among our kiddos and volunteers. This enables everyone to feel safe, to learn and grow, for kids to become more spiritually conscious and become valuable community members. The purpose of this video is to provide information regarding our policies and procedures, the way the program is structured each week, and to help you understand how to provide an atmosphere of positive engagement, as well as what to do when kids have challenging behaviors.
I'm going to briefly review some of the most important policies and procedures that support the safety and well-being of both our volunteers and our children. You will be given a written copy of the full policy and procedures. It's your responsibility to read them over and sign them. There's also a copy attached to the youth clipboard that is kept in the office and brought out onto the playground. The clipboard also has a copy of the general schedule for each season. The purpose of keeping to the general schedule is to provide a routine and structure that the children learn and expect at each session. This helps to support them feeling safe and helps to model for new children behavioral expectations. The schedule may evolve and change over time. So 2 unrelated adults must be present at all times during Sunday school for a group of 1 to 7 children. A child is never to be left unattended for any reason. This includes in the foyer of the Unity building. If the children have divided into groups, 1 adult should be with each group and within eyesight of each other. It's important to focus on the children and minimize talking between the adults unless related to the school or a child that is present. All the children who are attending that day should be signed in when using the sign-in sheet for youth program. This includes the adult who is responsible for the child that day and their mobile number, and any pertinent information about the child, such as an allergy. Youth leaders may take photographs of the children if they know they have consent from the families. At this time, youth volunteers do not have permission to take any photograph of a child with your phone or any other camera. No photography is important for safety reasons. There may be custody or other safety issues that we are not aware of, and by posting a photo, we endanger the child and parent. Children are also not allowed to use their phones during Sunday school so that they can participate fully in the day's activities. Phones should be left in the sanctuary with the adult who brought them. Incident reports need to be prepared whenever there's an incident during the Sunday school session. Some examples of things that could be included are physical or verbal attacks or injuries or accidents. Both volunteers should work together in preparing the incident report. The incident reporting form is on the clipboard. It's important to keep all your interactions with children observable to others. Don't remove a child to an isolated area for any reason. What about bathroom breaks? Children are encouraged to use the bathroom when they gather in the foyer before heading out to the playground. If a child needs to use the bathroom and we don't have access to the preschool, then the teachers will text the person whose number is on the sign-in sheet and bring the child back to use the bathroom. If we do have access to the preschool, the person doesn't need to be texted and one of the volunteers can supervise. Volunteers are not allowed to help with toileting. If a child needs help, please text the parent. The volunteers supervise but do not enter the stall, allowing the child to have privacy. This is a time for play, fun, and growth. There are lots of safe activities. Sports or roughhousing between children is discouraged. It's consensual. This kind of play can get hurt. Also harder than a wiffle ball or beanbag, including rocks and sticks. It's important to respect children's space. Adults do not initiate hugs with children. Some children don't feel comfortable saying no, so the best policy is not to ask. Encourage high fives and fist bumps if you want to connect with a child. If a child initiates a hug, it's okay to hug them back. There is a first aid kit in the backpack that's carried out to the playground or the school. Evacuate in case of fire to a safe spot and make sure the children stay together. Please don't work with the children if you're not feeling well. Instead, consult your list of appropriate subs and contact one of them to fill in for you. Do this before you reach out to someone else. If you notice a child is displaying symptoms of illness, use your good judgment. If you know that they're recovering from a cold and just have a runny nose, you may want them to have them sit slightly apart from other children. If you're concerned, text their parent to ask, or have the parent pick up the child. According to the Oregon government website, suspected child abuse or neglect should be reported by everyone. But some people in every community are required by law to be mandated reporters. All clergy are designated mandated reporters. If you, as a youth volunteer, suspect abuse or neglect, you can discuss it with the youth leader and senior minister. Whenever there is if you think that you need to report, the number to call is in the policy list of procedures or on the DHS CPS hotline. Adult volunteers are not allowed to establish any connection with a child on social media. This includes posting on a child's page, calling a child's mobile phone, exchanging text messages with a child, or having any online contact with a child via FaceTime, Zoom, or any other platform. If you want a successful program, children need not to be hungry. Food is also an important part of self-regulation for children. Crunchy, chewy foods can help reestablish calmness and self-organization for many children. Alternating first a high-energy activity followed by a snack and then transitioning to a quieter activity works well. However, before providing a snack, make sure that a child doesn't have an allergy or reaction to that food. If unsure, check with parents ahead of time. A parent can always supply their own snack if they are concerned regarding allergies or anything else. In the office is a clipboard that is taken out onto the playground each week along with the backpack. What's on it? The policies and procedures, the incident report, the general schedule, including what to do when you arrive, the blessing of the children, and the procedures once you take the kids from the sanctuary. The purpose of keeping the general schedule is to provide a routine and structure that the children learn and expect at each session. This helps to support them feeling safe and helps to model for new children behavioral expectations. The schedule may evolve and change over time, but a copy of the current schedule should always be on the clipboard. It's important that the kids go together with the teachers rather than run ahead across the parking lot, both at the beginning and the end of the session.
So what I'll be speaking about will be written up in the classroom or put on the clipboard so you can refer to this and you don't have to feel like you have to memorize it all. I'm going to be tackling two things. How do we promote positive engagement with kids? And what do we do when kids have challenging behavior? So what's most important is that kids feel safe and secure. When they feel like an adult cares for them and they feel safe with them, this is going to increase the good vibes, the good energy, the cooperation, and interest in the teaching. That's really where the goal is in the relationship. So the more that you can build up this relationship, the better time you're going to have in the classroom. Some relationships are easier and some are going to take more time to develop with kiddos. There are some small ways to promote connections, and I like to give this analogy to families I work with. And it's all about making deposits in a bank. So there's small ways throughout a day in a parent's life, or for you as a youth volunteer with your time with them and time that you may see them at church, where you can establish connection. So that when you need to make a withdrawal, you want them to sit down, you want them to listen, you want them to stop bugging their neighbor. You may want them to engage in an activity they don't love. When you make that withdrawal, it's going to be easier to do because there's still money in that bank. There's easy ways to develop relationship with kiddos during your time with them when you're volunteering and outside during church time. And that's just through high fives and fist bumps. You can also say hi, but these are little connection things that kids really do love and goes farther than talking to them really. Kids are smart and know when someone cares about them. So be yourself and genuine, and kids can really pick up on this, and it'll allow them to have more fun with you and you to have more fun with them. Add some playfulness and some levity. Being super serious is going to be a dud. So you're going to want to be playful and have fun with this. Though we're talking about serious things, you don't have to take everything seriously. You can have flexibility with the curriculum. If you notice something isn't working or the kids aren't following, you can make shifts. You can also ask what ideas the kids may have, because they can have a lot of creativity. Allow for space for discussion and exploration, so you can take more time with something and you can take less time with something. So you can negotiate that so it really meets the kids' needs and what's showing up there for you today. Movement and music are often very regulating for kids. So you can inject some movement and music during the time you spend with them. So you can go back to the old classics like Hokey Pokey or the YMCA or Simon Says. And even just taking a few minutes to play and maybe a few deep breaths and then going back to the activity is going to allow for there to be more engagement. A popular one right now is the Party Freeze dance, which will show up on Spotify or YouTube, and it's a really fun, goofy song. Ask the kids if they have ideas for movement and music. They often know these kind of silly dance games to play. So what do you do with challenging behaviors? In this program, there is no discipline, there is no timeouts, and no consequences. What we focus on is teaching and then correcting. If a student isn't listening, I'm going to offer a few things to try. See if you can get eye contact. Often we think kids hear us, but they don't. So getting eye contact can establish the relationship, the connection, and can shift their response. Ask them to do what you want them to do instead of what you don't. So for example, instead of saying, stop stomping, you can say, quiet feet. Or instead of saying, hey, stop touching your neighbor, you can say, hands in your lap. Giving them the direction of what you want them to do allows their brain to respond better. Offering choices is a great way to share power and can really go a long way. So, for example, offer choices. You can continue drawing or you can come take a book to look at. You can choose a different way to do that art project. Do you want to use crayons instead of paint? Just giving them something to buy in can shift the way that things are flowing. Offer redirection. This can be through helping. You can include them in passing out supplies, passing out snacks. You know, if they're talking a lot to one of their neighbors, you could say, hey, come close to me. Or you could just redirect them like, hey, oh, what's the next thing you're going to do on their drawing? Or, oh, what's the next thing you're going to do in that project? Just getting them to shift to what you want them to do can be powerful. So another thing you can come back to is asking questions with kindness and curiosity. So if you approach a kid and be like, what's wrong with you? You're not listening at all. It's not going to go very well. If you say, can you share something about what's going on today? It seems like it's kind of hard for you today. They can sometimes give you some very concrete, simple things that can be addressed. Maybe they're hungry. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they got in a fight with their parents that morning or their siblings. So if they can share some of that with you, you may be able to be like, oh, okay, let's get you some extra snacks. Yeah, do you want to have more of a break? Yeah, it's up to you. Would you like to choose a different project? Would that be easier for you today? That's where that connection piece comes. The more they feel connected to you, the more that they can share what exactly their need is. Another tool is to use prediction. So when you start, you want to lay out for the day what the schedule is going to be and give warnings. Oh, 5 minutes before this, 2 minutes, okay, not time to clean up. And then if you notice they're having a hard time continuing something, so you can say, okay, only 2 minutes left, and then we're going to transition. Something very important to remember is that there's a reason for a kid's behavior. It's important to act from a framework that kids will do well if they can. So if a kid is really struggling that day, we often may not know the reasons for it. We may not have the whole kid's background, but if we operate from a place of empathy and kindness, then that can really help how you can connect to that kid and can help with some of the challenging behaviors. If we start to frame kids' behaviors as annoying, irritating, power grabbing, manipulative, it's not going to be helpful. More likely, there's some really powerful things that are coming up, and that's what you're seeing on the tip of the iceberg, but underneath, there's a lot more going on. If a kiddo's behavior is feeling like it's too much for you, go ahead and text the parent. We want to empower you to text or get help if needed. You don't need to kind of grin and bear it during the day. Generally, the things that I look for to see if the parent needs to be reached out to is the kiddo hurting himself, hurting others, being too disruptive, or if as a leader or volunteer just feeling over your head, then text the parent for them to come grab their kiddo. If you have questions or need support after the youth program, you can connect with the other person you're volunteering with, or you can reach out to someone in youth leadership for support. In conclusion, we want to thank you so much for volunteering to shape our youth in a positive, important way. Thank you for staying tuned during this video. We really want you to feel supported, so please ask questions, ask for support and advice, and definitely have fun.
Incident reports
Okay.
need to be
All right.
prepared whenever there's an incident
All
during
right.
the Sunday school session. There is a list of examples in the policies and procedures. Work together with the youth leader who is assigned for that week to create
That's confusing, huh?
yeah.
Do you want me to we could type something really fast, because we can just
I can edit
take,
this right here.
just like take out that last sentence. Because this video will be watched by I think the leaders and the volunteers should both watch this video.
Right.
Right, because it's new to the whole thing.
Okay,
So,
I'm gonna take out, if you're not sure, so we have incident reports need to be prepared whenever there's an incident. In the Sunday school session, there's a list of examples in the policy and procedures. Then,
Both volunteers should work together in preparing the incident report.
and then the last line would be the incident reporting form is on the clipboard. Yeah?
So in the policies and procedures,
just
it's not that it's going to have to be edited from what we have here
Yeah.
if there's a list.
yeah, that list, I'm not sure